This is Lewis Hamilton's first ever F1 corner, and he's already wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso, the two-time champ. But rookies aren't meant to come out swinging like this.
Multiple occasions. Wow, it looks like they're...
So when Hamilton opened with 9 straight podiums, the sport had a freaking meltdown trying to make sense of it. By the final race, he was chasing a record no F1 rookie had touched in decades. There was just one problem, and it could destroy everything he'd spent his life chasing. It goes back to December 1995, when Hamilton accidentally triggered the biggest revolution in F1 history. This is the Autosport Awards in London. Basically motorsport's version of the Oscars, where champions get their trophies with less political activism and a hell of a lot less violence.
Oh, wow!
Ron Dennis, McLaren's boss, and probably F1's most powerful guy, is working the room like he owns the place. Which, let's be real, he pretty much does. And that's when this tiny figure appears through the crowd. A 10-year-old kid in a borrowed suit that's swimming on him, walking straight up to Dennis, looking more like this.
So you must be pretty good at it. Is it easy to do?
No.
Then the champ we know and love. Yeah, it's Lewis Hamilton, Britain's youngest ever cadet karting champion. Ron probably thought this was going to be some cute kid moment, except Hamilton wasn't looking for a photo. He was asking for a freaking job. He basically tells the guy, "I want to be Formula One world champion in your car," forcing Dennis to make a split-second decision that'd change F1 forever. So he takes the autograph book and writes, "Phone me in 9 years. We'll sort something out then."
Hopefully I'll get into Formula 1. I've got Ron Dennis's phone number. I can find him in 9 years now.
Now, Ron Dennis isn't the type to make empty promises. This is the guy who turned McLaren into a championship machine by treating every tiny detail like life or death. When he makes a prediction, you listen. But even he couldn't have known that he'd just shaken hands with someone who'd completely rewrite the record books. Back in '95, F1 drivers mostly came from wealthy families who could afford the million-dollar journey from karting to the big leagues, which meant working-class kids like Hamilton basically watched from the stands while the Nepo kids bought their way to the grid. But Dennis had this crazy idea brewing.
If you build it, he will come.
It was called the McLaren-Mercedes Young Driver Support Program, and it was about to change everything. With that program, McLaren had one goal: to create champions from scratch, and they picked Hamilton as their star pupil. At 13 years old, he became the youngest driver ever to sign a potential F1 contract. The trouble is, being so young, he'd never actually driven a road car before, so he even had to learn the basic stuff like clutch operation from scratch. But McLaren wasn't messing around. They funded everything from karting to F3, removing every financial barrier that kept working class kids from chasing their dreams. And boy, did Hamilton deliver, demolishing everyone, and even beating the future F1 drivers like Sebastian Vettel. But the moment that sealed the deal came in the 2006 GP2 series in Turkey. An early spin dropped him to 18th place. Yeah, pretty much game over. Like Zuck, explaining this one to the missus. Except Hamilton mounted one of Junior Formula's greatest comeback drives and finished second. That recovery convinced McLaren he had championship DNA flowing through his veins and led to the moment of truth in November 2006. Kimi Raikkonen was leaving for Ferrari. Juan Pablo Montoya had bolted for NASCAR, which meant McLaren needed a second driver to partner Fernando Alonso, the sport's youngest ever two-time world champion. Ron Dennis faced the ultimate gamble. Would he promote Hamilton, the lightning-fast kid, to race winning machinery, or play it safe with an experienced driver? Most teams would choose experience, but Dennis chose destiny. So Lewis Hamilton, at 22 years old, with absolutely no F1 experience, partnered Fernando Alonso at McLaren for 2007. The kid who'd asked for his chance all those years ago was about to get exactly what he wanted. But could a rookie really handle the pressure of F1's fastest cars? And would Alonso, the guy who dethroned Michael Schumacher twice in a row, tolerate sharing garage space with an unproven kid? When Dennis told him Hamilton would be his partner, Alonso's response was pure gold. Basically saying, what, you don't want to win the championship? Translation, a rookie will just get in the way. But when the lights go out, Hamilton does something that breaks every rule in the book and threatens to rip McLaren apart from the inside out. We should have known right from that first corner when he's right freaking alongside the two-time champion like they're equals. Because by the end of the race, Alonso crosses the line in second, but Hamilton's right there in third place. That sound? Yeah, it's everybody's jaw hitting the floor at the same time. This wasn't supposed to happen. Hamilton's literally out there matching one of the sport's biggest stars on his very first attempt. And by the end of Spain in round 4, he was leading the entire Formula 1 World Championship by 2 points. A rookie with 4 races of F1 experience was beating the seasoned 2-time world champion in identical cars. It's just like classic Hollywood. Out with the old cams and in with the new. But for Alonso, it was getting personal real quick. But it was about to get even worse. See, at the Canadian Grand Prix on June 10th, there were 4 safety car periods. It was absolute chaos out there. All the drivers were losing their minds trying to manage the constant restarts. But Hamilton's out there conducting the race like a freaking symphony. And when the checkered flag waves,
we're riding on bondo with Lewis Hamilton. This race is about to get underway.
Yeah, you guessed it. At 22 years old, the kid who asked Ron Dennis for a chance was on top of the world. But winning one Grand Prix wasn't enough. Hamilton only goes and wins the very next race too. By this point, every podium Hamilton climbs, every interview where the media fawns over the rookie sensation, Alonso's jaw gets a little tighter. And while the paddock's buzzing about Hamilton's fairy tale, nobody's talking about Spain's golden boy anymore. Which means by the time they roll into Hungary, the tension between these two is about to blow the entire McLaren garage apart. In the qualifying session, Hamilton refused team orders to let Alonso pass during their run. Fine, you can argue that's just racing, but Alonso's response? Maybe not so much.
And have they raised the lollipop to let Alonso out?
During the final pit stops, McLaren held Alonso for 20 seconds to give him a clear track, but Alonso sits there for another 10 seconds, deliberately preventing Hamilton from completing his final qualifying lap. The TV cameras catch Ron Dennis angrily throwing his headphones down like they're on fire, and the paddock goes dead silent. What started out as team rivalry has become open warfare, and the next morning, everything goes nuclear. Because that's when Alonso walks into Dennis's motorhome and makes a demand that would make Tony Soprano blush. Sabotage Hamilton's car, or he'll reveal a massive secret to the FIA. See, this whole time, Nigel Stepney at Ferrari had been feeding McLaren a steady diet of Ferrari's most confidential secrets. We're talking 780 pages of technical information, weight distribution, braking systems, aerodynamics, pit stop strategies. It's the largest case of industrial espionage in F1 history, and it's been happening right under everyone's noses. McLaren's dominance suddenly made perfect sense. They weren't just beating Ferrari through their own brilliance, they were beating them with Ferrari's own playbook. And Alonso was threatening to reveal the whole damn thing. The straight up blackmail. So juicy, it'll make you revisit your breakfast. Now, FIA President Mosley later claimed he already knew about the emails.
Once you get this culture of cheating in a sport, it's a complete disaster and you've got to cut it out as soon as you find it.
But Alonso's threat reopens an investigation that's about to destroy McLaren's season. And when the FIA dropped the hammer, it meant a record-breaking $100 million fine and a complete exclusion from the 2007 Constructors' Championship. But while McLaren's world burned around them, Hamilton and Alonso were still locked in battle for the driver's title. Hamilton was leading the championship by 12 points, and with only 2 races left to decide everything, the fight is about to get even more brutal. It's the Chinese Grand Prix, Hamilton's moment to seize motorsport's ultimate prize, and for most of the race, it's all looking good. But after 30 laps of intense battles on a wet track, let's just say the tyres had other plans. Because when Hamilton tried to enter the pits, he botched the turn, and all of a sudden, he's beached in the gravel.
Beached, bro.
All he could do is sit there, watching his title hopes disappear, while Kimi Raikkonen cruises to first. Everything Hamilton achieved, it's all slipping away, and now there's only one race left. Brazil, winner takes all, but Hamilton's running out of miracles. Check out these championship standings. Hamilton sitting on 107 points, Alonso right behind him on 103, and Kimi Raikkonen on 100. 3 guys separated by just 7 points. So even with all that chaos, if Hamilton can finish 5th or better, he'll still become champion. Sounds like a piece of cake, right? Especially when he starts second on the grid behind Felipe Massa's Ferrari. He just needs to get a clean start, keep it simple, and bring home the goods. But right off the bat, things go sideways. He loses position to Alonso, then runs wide trying to regain it, like really wide, falling to 8th place. Over the next few laps, Hamilton gives it everything he's got to work his way back to 6th. But then the mechanical demons strike, gearbox problems. The gearbox starts shredding itself like the internet shreds duchesses.
It's true, and they're slow and they hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I...
But you're the same.
So now he falls to 18th place in the time it takes to make a freaking sandwich. That championship that seemed so close you could smell the champagne, disappearing fast. Meanwhile, up front, Raikkonen's doing what Raikkonen does best, staying ice cold. Hamilton fights back like his life depends on it, from 18th to 7th place by the checkered flag. A comeback drive that would have been front page news on any other day. But context is everything, and on this day, 7th place feels like, well, your left hand, but not in a good way. When the dust settled, Raikkonen had 110 points, but Hamilton was stuck on 109, same as Alonso. 1 point, one single measly point between championship glory and total heartbreak. The most painful part? McLaren basically gift-wrapped the championship for Ferrari through internal warfare. Hamilton and Alonso spent the season trying to destroy each other, and Alonso's lightning-fast exit after the season tells you everything about how toxic things got. But even though Hamilton didn't get the win he wanted, there were a lot of positives to take away. 9 straight podiums from his debut, before he'd even figured out which hotels had the best breakfast buffets. That's a record that's still standing, and probably always will be. And 109 points? That's the highest rookie total in F1 history, period. The guy immediately went toe-to-toe with Fernando Alonso, one of the best drivers of all time, at the top of his game. It was pretty obvious we were watching someone special. A driver who was ready to fight for championships from day one. A rookie who nearly broke the sport's pecking order, losing by the smallest possible margin while rewriting a ton of records. And as for the warfare, I guess you could say that McLaren learned the hard way that the best F1 partnerships usually have one alpha, you know? Look at Vettel and Webber, Verstappen and Perez. There's always a household name and, well, the other guys. Now, a lot of drivers would have been crushed by losing the title by a single point, but that heartbreak
was about to fuel the most dominant run in F1 history, because what happened next would make his rookie season look like the opening act. Okay, if you enjoyed this story, you're gonna love this one right here. Give it a click, and I'll see you there.